Welcome again to our YouTube channel. As we continue with the Lenten journey, a season of healing, today I will talk about what I call Gracetude. Gracetude, a term that I coined from living with grace and gratitude. So I took grace and gratitude and made one word, Gracetude. And for today and tomorrow, we shall talk about Gracetude. And this Gracetude for today, we shall look at living with grace and gratitude, but in two parts. The first part is the surrender to God. A surrender to God. The second part will be a part of prayer for humility. So first will be surrender to God. And before one surrenders to God, this individual must understand and know something about the God whom he or she believes in. That first, before you surrender to a God, you must have an understanding of that God that you embrace, that you accept, that you believe in. So that means one has to focus on surrendering to a God who the person appreciates, the person receives, the person believes in, a God of his or her own understanding, a God of your own understanding. You cannot surrender to a God that you know nothing about. So you must have a God of your understanding. What kind of God do you believe in? What kind of God do you believe in? And after you have had this God of your understanding, then you surrender to this God whom you understand. A God of your understanding. Not a God taught to you. Not a God you hear about, but a God whom you have a concept about. A God of your understanding. What God do you believe in? What kind of God have you accepted in your life? Is he a harsh God? A loving God? A punitive God? Indifferent God? What kind of God do you believe in? The moment you have had that foundation of a God of your understanding, then you can offer yourself to Him. You can surrender yourself to Him. You pray to this God of your understanding and affirm your surrender to Him. To pray to this God of your understanding and affirm your surrender to Him. And a form of prayer that you can have, for example, is a simple prayer that you can create for yourself, or a prayer that speaks of what you want from God and what you are offering to this God. Not a prayer formulated for you, but a prayer that speaks of you surrendering to God. One of those formulated prayers, one of those simple prayers can go like this: God, I offer myself to you. God, I offer myself to you to build me and to do with me what you will. That God, I offer myself to you to build me. That means you surrender yourself to God to mold you, to make you whatever He wants of you, to build me and to do with me what you will. And the moment you have offered yourself to Him to build you and to do with you whatever He wants, then you request from Him, relieve me of the bondage of self. Release me from myself. Release me from bondage of self, that I may come to you, that I may offer totally to you. Remove me from the bondage of self, that I may better do your will. That we cannot do the will of God if we are in the bondage of our own self. So we have to ask Him to relieve us from the bondage of self. Ego. Some of us, we have bloated ego. Selfishness, human weaknesses, whatever that means. That the Lord may relieve us from our self-bondage, that we may better do His will. And also, as we surrender to Him, we must ask, take away my difficulties. Take away my difficulties, that victory over them may bear witness to those I may serve. Take away my difficulties, that victory over my difficulties become witnesses to those people that I will serve, the people that I will minister to, the people that I will serve in my, the people that I will encounter, the people that I will help, the people that I will show your love, the people that I will have conversations with, that this victory over my difficulties may become witnesses to these people that I ministered to, the people that I will show your love, the people that I will come across, that they may see your glory. And then you can finish your prayer in simple, saying, may I do your will always. May I do your will always. That means, first, we must have an understanding of a God that we believe in, a God of our own understanding, and to Him we surrender ourselves, that He may build us and do with us whatever He wills, to take away the difficulties, to relieve us from our self-bondage, in order to do the best, in order to serve Him better. After He has removed the difficulties from our lives, and the victories over these difficulties becomes witnesses to the people that we minister to. After we have surrendered to God, using simple prayers, you can formulate your own prayer to surrender to God, to surrender to a God that you have understood, the God that you have embraced, the God that you have believed in, the kind of God that you believe in. After you have surrendered to Him, using your simple formulated prayer that you want to speak to God about, then you must practice humility in prayer. And this humility in prayer is to show the willingness, or to express the willingness to God to remove the character defects that may hinder your usefulness to other people. Now that you have surrendered and you have asked the Lord to do with you whatever He wants, to build you, to relieve you from your self-bondage, to let you free to serve Him, to remove the difficulties, and that the victories over your difficulties may become witnesses to those people that you minister to, the people that you encounter, the people that you serve, and that in humility you express the willingness to God to remove the defects of character from you. You can formulate a prayer that you speak of your willingness to have God remove the defects of your character. You may pray saying, my Creator, I am now willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. That God, my Creator, God, my Father, God, my loving Father, whatever you want to call your God, I'm willing that you should have all of me, good and bad. And pray that you may now remove from me every single defect of character. That you may remove from me every single defect or defect of character which stand in the way of my usefulness to you and to fellow human beings. That you may remove every single defect of character from me that is stand in the way of my usefulness to you, O my God, my Father, my Creator, my loving God, and my fellow human beings. That you may grant me the strength to do your bidding. To grant me the strength to do your bidding. Those are the two first main important things to consider when we want to live with grace and gratitude. The first two things to do in order to live in grace and gratitude: first, to surrender to God, and two, express humility to God to remove character defects from us in order to be useful to Him and to other fellow human beings. Have those simple prayers, formulate simple prayers for surrender to God, and then the willingness to have God take the whole of you to Himself, to remove the defects of character, that it may come or hinder you or stand in the way of you being useful to that God and to fellow human beings, that He may give you the strength to do His bidding. We cannot be graceful and grateful in our own life when we do not acknowledge the source of our own life, God, to whom we surrender and in whom we flourish, in whom we are blessed, in whom we serve the rest of the human beings. So, my brothers and sisters, that's the beginning of our topic that I'll be calling Gracetude. So, first, surrender to God. 2, express your willingness to God. That willingness for God to remove every character defect that hinder your usefulness or stand in the way of your usefulness to God and to other fellow human beings, that He may give you the strength to do His bidding in the world. May God bless you and embrace you. See you again tomorrow for part 2 of the beginning of Gracetude, living in grace and gratitude.